Welcome back to Stereopedia, where sound meets story. Today, we're diving into the bold, unexpected moves of artists who broke the mold and reinvented themselves by switching genres completely. From pop stars turning rock rebels to rappers embracing country vibes, these transformations weren't just about music, they were statements of identity. Let's explore the risks, the backlash, and the brilliance behind these reinventions. The art of reinvention. In the music industry, change is both inevitable and essential. But while trends shift and technology evolves, not all artists embrace transformation with open arms. Many choose to stay within the safe confines of their established genres, building loyal fan bases through familiarity and predictability. Yet, there exists a distinct group of musicians who view change not as a threat, but as a canvas for creativity. These are the artists who dare to drastically reinvent themselves, often moving between musical worlds with boldness and vision. Reinvention in music is more than switching instruments or adjusting tempo. It's a fundamental redefinition of artistic identity. It challenges not only how the public perceives an artist, but also how the artist understands themselves. These transitions can arise from personal growth, creative frustration, industry demands, or a desire to explore untapped emotional and cultural landscapes. Regardless of the cause, the shift often requires immense risk, alienating fans, breaking record label expectations, and stepping into the unknown without a safety net. Yet for those who succeed, the rewards can be extraordinary. Reinvention can breathe new life into a stagnant career, bridge generational gaps, and leave a lasting legacy of artistic courage. It reflects the idea that music, at its best, is not static, it's evolutionary. It's a living, breathing expression of change. In this journal, we explore the journeys of several artists who made the radical decision to change genres, not incrementally but drastically. Their stories offer insight into the psychology of creativity, the business of music, and the personal resilience needed to risk everything in pursuit of authenticity. 2. David Bowie, the chameleon of sound. Few artists in music history have demonstrated the art of reinvention with as much vision, range, and theatrical flair as David Bowie. Nicknamed the chameleon of rock, Bowie's career is a masterclass in adaptability, boundary pushing, and the deliberate destruction of artistic comfort zones. Unlike artists who stumble into genre changes, Bowie made reinvention his signature. Each new phase of his career was not just a change in sound, but a total transformation, encompassing visuals, philosophy, persona, and even worldview. His journey began in the late 1960s with folk and pop-inspired songs, but it wasn't until the early 1970s that he truly began reshaping his image. With the birth of Ziggy Stardust, Bowie blended glam rock with science fiction and theatrical storytelling, crafting a flamboyant alien rock star that broke gender and genre norms. This persona catapulted him to international fame, but just as the world clung to Ziggy, Bowie killed him off and moved on. He pivoted into soul and funk with albums like Young Americans, drawing influence from American black music and the disco era. Then came the Berlin trilogy, Low, Heroes, and Lodger, where he embraced ambient, experimental, and electronic music, collaborating with Brian Eno and immersing himself in the fractured psychology of Cold War Europe. Even in the 1990s and 2000s, Bowie continued to evolve, flirting with industrial rock, jungle, and alternative sounds, refusing to be pinned down to any one era or expectation. His 2016 final album Black Star merged avant-garde jazz with art rock, serving as a haunting farewell just days before his death. What makes his reinvention unique? Strategic identity shifts. Bowie didn't just evolve musically. He adopted entire personas, each with distinct philosophies and aesthetics. Cultural commentary. His genre changes often reflected broader cultural shifts. He wasn't following trends. He was commenting on or even predicting them. Creative control. Bowie retained artistic control, ensuring that his transformations were authentic expressions rather than marketing stunts. Legacy and impact. David Bowie redefined what it means to be a musical artist. He showed that transformation, when done with sincerity and courage, could be a form of high art. His genre-bending journey paved the way for countless artists, from Madonna and Prince to Lady Gaga and The Weeknd, who now view reinvention not as a betrayal of identity, but as its truest expression. Bowie didn't just play with sound. He played with identity, time, space, and perception. Through Reinvention, he taught the world that an artist's power often lies in their willingness to let go of who they were in order to become who they might be. 3. Taylor Swift, from country sweetheart to pop powerhouse. When Taylor Swift entered the music scene in the mid-2000s, she was introduced to the world as a teenage country prodigy with a guitar in hand and heart-on-sleeve lyrics. Her early albums, Taylor Swift, 2006, Fearless, 2008, and Speak Now, 2010, embraced the traditional storytelling style of country music, infused with a youthful sincerity that resonated across age groups. She was known for her acoustic melodies, small-town themes, and songs that chronicled the trials of growing up, love, and heartbreak. However, by the time she released Red in 2012, it was clear that Swift was beginning to test the boundaries of genre. While still rooted in country, the album experimented with pop structures and electronic production. Songs like I Knew You Were Trouble and We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together signaled a shift toward a broader sonic identity. Then came 1989, 2014, her definitive pop album and a deliberate departure from her country origins. With this release, Swift reinvented herself as a mainstream pop star, embracing synth-driven beats, glossy production, and danceable hooks. Thematically, the album showcased greater emotional detachment and self-awareness, reflecting her maturity and experience navigating public scrutiny and fame. But Swift didn't stop there. In Reputation, 2017, she dabbled in dark pop and trap-influenced sounds, addressing her controversial media image with a sharper, more cynical lyrical edge. By the time she released Folklore and Evermore in 2020, Swift had again pivoted, this time to indie folk and alternative rock, surprising critics and fans alike. These albums, produced in collaboration with Aaron Dessner of The National and longtime partner Jack Antonoff, were introspective, literary, and understated, markedly different from the maximalist pop of her previous era. What makes her reinvention unique? Gradual yet intentional evolution. Swift transitioned between genres with strategic precision, allowing her audience to grow with her while still challenging their expectations. Lyric-centric identity. No matter the genre, her core identity as a songwriter remained intact. She translated the emotional depth of country into the infectious hooks of pop, and later, into the poetic prose of indie folk. Narrative ownership. Swift often used genre shifts as a narrative tool, reclaiming control of her public image, navigating fame, and expressing personal growth. Impact and legacy. Taylor Swift's ability to reinvent herself without losing her fanbase is a rare feat in the music industry. She not only crossed genre lines, but also dominated them, earning critical acclaim, commercial success, and industry respect in every style she embraced. Her evolution has inspired a new generation of artists to see genre not as a limitation, but as a palette for self-expression. Moreover, she helped redefine what it means to be a female pop star, balancing mass appeal with artistic autonomy and turning personal narratives into global anthems. Swift's journey from Nashville to the global pop stage and then into introspective indie territory is a testament to her artistic instincts and fearless adaptability. 4. Radiohead, rock rebels turned sonic architects. Radiohead's musical evolution stands as one of the most dramatic and influential transformations in modern rock history. Emerging in the early 1990s as part of the alternative rock wave that followed Nirvana and grunge, the band initially seemed destined for a conventional rock trajectory. Their breakout single Creep, 1992, became a global anthem of alienation, aligning them with angst-ridden, guitar-driven rock. However, Radiohead soon grew restless within the expectations of mainstream success. With The Bends, 1995, the band began to distance themselves from simple alt-rock formulas. The album showcased richer arrangements, more sophisticated lyrics, and a willingness to experiment with texture and tone. But it was their 1997 release OK Computer that truly marked a creative breakthrough. Widely hailed as a masterpiece, the album blended complex song structures, eerie atmospherics, and dystopian themes, pushing the boundaries of what rock could sound and feel like. Yet rather than settling into this critically acclaimed sound, Radiohead once again tore down their foundations. In a bold and risky move, their 2000 album Kid A abandoned traditional rock structures almost entirely. Drawing from electronic music, ambient textures, glitch, jazz, and classical minimalism, Kid A was fragmented, abstract, and often without recognizable hooks. Guitars gave way to synthesizers, drum machines, and modular loops. Vocal melodies were distorted, lyrics cryptic, and the mood deeply introspective. Initially polarizing, the album later came to be seen as one of the most groundbreaking records of its era. Their next album, Amnesiac, 2001, was recorded during the same sessions and continued the experimental trajectory. In subsequent releases such as Hail to the Thief, In Rainbows, and A Moon-Shaped Pool, Radiohead blended their experimental tendencies with more emotional accessibility, creating a catalog that spans raw vulnerability, political urgency, and sonic innovation. What makes their reinvention unique? Artistic rejection of commercial formula. Radiohead rejected a proven rock star formula to pursue a more abstract, cerebral path that valued art over chart success. Holistic experimentation. Their transformation wasn't just about changing genres. It involved reimagining the entire experience of music, including production, distribution. In Rainbows was famously released with a pay-what-you-want model and live performance. Technological and conceptual pioneering. They embraced digital manipulation, software-generated sounds, and themes exploring the alienation of modern life, foreshadowing the digital anxieties of the 21st century. Impact and legacy. Radiohead's genre-bending approach redefined the potential of a rock band. They opened the door for mainstream artists to explore experimental and genre-defying music without compromising artistic integrity. Bands and artists such as Muse, Coldplay, Bon Iver, and even Kanye West have cited Radiohead as a major influence in terms of both sound and philosophy. More than just musicians, Radiohead became sonic architects, designing immersive emotional landscapes where rock could meet jazz, classical, and machine. Their legacy lies not just in the sound of their music, but in the way they challenged the notion that popular music must conform to expectations. 5. Miley Cyrus, from teen pop to rock and soul. Miley Cyrus is one of the most striking examples of a modern artist who has defied the constraints of genre, public image, and industry expectations. Rising to fame as the star of Disney's Hannah Montana, Cyrus began her career firmly rooted in the world of teen pop, performing bubblegum songs tailored for a young audience. Her early albums under the Disney label featured upbeat, radio-friendly tracks that reinforced a wholesome persona tied closely to her fictional character. However, as she matured, Cyrus began pushing against the limitations of her manufactured image. Her 2010 album Can't Be Tamed hinted at a desire for greater creative control and a more adult aesthetic. But it was her radical transformation with the 2013 album Bangers that truly shocked the world and marked a definitive break from her past. Embracing hip-hop and EDM influences, working with producers like Michael Made It and Pharrell Williams, and adopting a provocative image, Cyrus shed her Disney skin in dramatic fashion. The Bangers era was controversial, receiving both praise for its boldness and criticism for cultural appropriation and excessive shock value. Still, it succeeded in making one thing clear: Miley was no longer playing a role, she was reclaiming her identity on her own terms. Then, in another twist, she released Miley Cyrus and Her Dead Pets, 2015, a psychedelic, lo-fi, and emotionally raw experimental project created independently with members of the Flaming Lips. It was a complete departure from radio-friendly hits, further highlighting her resistance to commercial norms. Yet her most musically acclaimed transformation came with Plastic Hearts, 2020, where she fully embraced her long-standing love for rock, glam, punk, and soul. Inspired by artists like Joan Jett, Debbie Harry, and Stevie Nicks, the album featured gritty guitar riffs, raspy vocals, and an unapologetically retro aesthetic. Songs like Midnight Sky and her covers of Heart of Glass and Zombie showcased a new level of vocal maturity and artistic authenticity. What makes her reinvention unique? Deliberate image destruction. Miley didn't transition gently. She often shattered previous versions of herself with unapologetic force, using controversy and transformation as a statement of autonomy. Emotional transparency. Her shifts in genre often mirrored deep emotional or personal shifts, such as dealing with heartbreak, identity crises, or artistic dissatisfaction. Unfiltered exploration. She has never settled into one grown-up genre. Instead, she freely experiments, whether with country roots younger now, psychedelic pop, or classic rock. Impact and legacy. While her artistic journey has been polarizing, Miley Cyrus has established herself as a genre-fluid powerhouse. Her voice, once pigeonholed as a pop gimmick, has been widely recognized for its raw power and rock-soul edge, capable of standing alongside legends. Cyrus's evolution reflects a broader cultural conversation around freedom of expression, especially for women in the entertainment industry. She has redefined what it means to grow up in the public eye, transforming from a Disney brand product into a fearless, genre-defying artist who continually reclaims her narrative. Ultimately, her reinvention is not about shock for its own sake. It is about liberation, experimentation, and the deep human desire to evolve beyond labels. 6. Machine Gun Kelly, rapper to pop-punk revivalist. Machine Gun Kelly, MGK, born Colson Baker, began his career entrenched in the gritty, high-energy world of underground hip-hop. Known for his rapid-fire delivery, aggressive lyrics, and rebellious persona, MGK built a loyal following with early mixtapes and albums like Lace Up, 2012, and General Admission, 2015. His music focused heavily on themes of struggle, addiction, and defiance, channeling the spirit of punk through rap form. With a series of rap battles and high-profile feuds, most notably with Eminem, MGK was known more for controversy than crossover appeal. However, in 2020, MGK made an abrupt and unexpected leap into the world of pop-punk with his album Tickets to My Downfall. Produced in collaboration with Travis Barker of Blink-182, the album featured distorted guitars, punk-driven drum patterns, and emotionally raw lyrics that traded street swagger for youthful vulnerability. It marked not only a stylistic shift but also a cultural one. MGK rebranded himself as the poster child for a Gen Z-fueled pop-punk revival. His raspy vocals, confessional songwriting, and visual style, complete with punk fashion, pink guitars, and chaotic live energy, resonated with a generation nostalgic for the emo punk anthems of the 2000s. Tracks like Bloody Valentine, My Ex's Best Friend, and Concert for Aliens dominated charts and streaming platforms, signaling that this was not a gimmick, it was a rebirth. In 2022, he doubled down with Mainstream Sellout, another pop-punk album that leaned into themes of fame, isolation, and identity crisis. While critics remain divided, some praising his genre leap, others questioning its authenticity, MGK had undeniably succeeded in bringing punk back into the mainstream spotlight. What makes his reinvention unique? Cultural timing. MGK's shift coincided with a wave of early 2000s nostalgia, making his transition both relevant and commercially strategic. Collaborative credibility. His partnership with Travis Barker, a pop-punk veteran, gave his reinvention authenticity and production credibility. Emotional accessibility. By trading rap's bravado for punk's emotional rawness, MGK connected with a wider audience navigating mental health, heartbreak, and identity. Impact and legacy. MGK's genre switch catalyzed a broader resurgence of pop-punk, inspiring both veteran acts and new artists to re-engage with the sound. He opened the door for rappers and hip-hop fans to explore punk-infused music without stigma and helped blur the lines between what had once been musically and culturally separate worlds. While some purists question the depth of his pop-punk credentials, his influence on the genre's mainstream return is difficult to ignore. For younger listeners, MGK became a gateway into a genre that had long been considered past its prime, proving that reinvention doesn't always require abandoning your roots. It can mean rediscovering them in a different language. His journey from rapper to rocker illustrates a broader truth, that genre is often more about expression than category, and that artists who follow their emotional truth, regardless of sound, can redefine the landscape of modern music. 7. Lady Gaga. From dance floor to jazz lounge. Lady Gaga, born Stefani Jo and Angelina Germanotta, burst onto the global music scene in 2008 like a cultural supernova. With her debut album The Fame and smash hits like Just Dance and Poker Face, she quickly became the face of futuristic electropop, known as much for her infectious beats as for her flamboyant fashion and boundary-pushing performances. At the time, she was seen as the heir to Madonna's pop provocateur throne, an icon of the dance floor revolution that dominated the late 2000s. But from the very beginning, Gaga showed signs of being more than just a pop product. A classically trained pianist with a love for theatrical storytelling and vintage jazz, her creative ambitions ran deeper than the mainstream EDM world would initially allow. As her career progressed, she began shedding layers of her early persona, revealing a more nuanced artist beneath the surface spectacle. Her 2011 album Born This Way started to blur genre lines, blending electronic, rock, gospel, and metal influences into a deeply personal manifesto of identity and empowerment. But the real pivot came in 2014 with Cheek to Cheek, a full-length jazz album recorded with legendary crooner Tony Bennett. Gone were the meat dresses and neon wigs. In their place stood Gaga in elegant gowns, crooning standards like Anything Goes and Lush Life, with soulful precision and emotional restraint. Critics and jazz aficionados alike praised the album, not just for its bold genre switch, but for Gaga's authentic vocal skill and musical depth. She continued this artistic evolution in Joanne, 2016, a more stripped-down and country rock-tinged album that explored themes of family, grief, and vulnerability. The album marked another departure, this time into Americana, soft rock, and acoustic ballads, reflecting her Italian-American roots and blue-collar upbringing. Her film debut in A Star is Born, 2018, further cemented her transformation. Portraying Ally, a struggling singer-songwriter, Gaga delivered emotionally raw performances, both in her acting and in her original music for the film. Songs like Shallow and Always Remember Us This Way showcased her ability to seamlessly bridge pop, country, and rock balladry, earning her an Academy Award and solidifying her status as a multi-genre powerhouse. What makes her Reinvention unique? A multidisciplinary talent. Gaga is not just a singer, she's a trained musician, actress, and performer whose reinventions are grounded in deep technical skill and artistic fluency. Emotional and conceptual range. From the exuberance of Bad Romance to the quiet ache of Million Reasons, she fluidly transitions between spectacle and sincerity. Cultural strategy. Each transformation responds to a different cultural or personal moment, be it societal identity politics, tributes to musical history, or inner healing. Impact and legacy. Lady Gaga's ability to move between the hypermodern and the timeless is what sets her apart. She has brought jazz back into the mainstream consciousness, introduced younger audiences to the Great American Songbook, and reminded the music industry that vocal talent, artistic integrity, and spectacle can coexist. By refusing to be pigeonholed, Gaga has created a blueprint for artistic reinvention in the 21st century, where genre is fluid, identity is layered, and evolution is essential. Her success across pop, jazz, country, and film challenges the industry's definitions of success and proves that reinvention, when rooted in sincerity and substance, can not only preserve a career, but elevate it to iconic status. The courage to evolve. Genre transformation is never just a musical decision, it's a personal and cultural statement. It demands courage, vision, and often a willingness to fail. These artists showed that evolving doesn't mean abandoning one's roots. It can mean expanding them, enriching them, and finding new ways to connect with the world. Their stories remind us that great music often comes not from staying safe, but from taking bold, creative leaps into the unknown. Stereopedia. exploring music beyond the boundaries. One sound, one soul at a time.